Hey, this is Josh Swigert with the Dayton Daily News, and I'm here today with Tom Gnau, our business reporter, to talk about a recent investigation Tom did into the phenomenon of investors buying up properties, sometimes entire neighborhoods. And he did a recent investigation that had some really interesting conclusions and findings, so I wanted to talk about that today. So Tom, thank you for joining us here, and just tell me about your investigation. What did your investigation find?
So thank you, Josh. Basically, the Federal Reserve Bank of Cleveland found that a long-standing problem or concern, investors buying single-family homes in certain communities, was intensifying or has been intensifying over the years. From 2018 to 2024, investors, many of them from out of town, out of state, have bought up to a third, nearly a third, of single-family homes in some neighborhoods of Dayton, some neighborhoods of Kettering and Miami Township, parts of Montgomery County, and the pace of those acquisitions, the pace of those purchases has picked up a little bit. It's picked up about 3% from 2018 to 2024.
And I should say you can read Tom's full investigation at DaytonDailyNews.com and on our apps. And part of that story, the full story that's online, there's a map where you can see where these hot spots are that were identified by the Cleveland Fed. You mentioned West Dayton. It has a ton of these hot spots, but it's also other parts of the county, right?
Yeah, so there's an area that the Fed calls a hot spot. Basically, it's a wide swath from lower East Dayton, south of downtown, up into a wide chunk of West Dayton. And these are basically areas where investors are finding homes that they can buy on the cheap, relatively on the cheap, and then they can rent out those homes to willing renters, willing leasers. And the concern is that investors can buy homes with a single check, something that families can almost never do. And then they don't necessarily keep up the homes as well as family owners, private owners, citizen owners would keep up those homes. So you have far away, distant landlords, and you have neighborhoods over time falling into a state of disrepair. And neighborhood advocates have taken a look at that, and they decided they want some changes. It's not a new problem, and it's definitely not just Dayton. It's happening more in bigger cities, Atlanta, Tampa, Cleveland, but here in Dayton, it's definitely picking up.
And as I recall, there are neighborhoods where up to nearly a third of the homes have been purchased by these investors, right?
Yeah, and investors will tell you that overall the percentages are small. There aren't that many investor-owned homes, but when you look at the so-called hot spots, that activity can be pretty concentrated, pretty intense. And again, the concern is, and there are exceptions to this, there are responsible owners, but the concern is sometimes owners aren't responsible. They're not caring for these homes in these communities as well as families would typically. And neighborhood advocates, they want local landlords. They want to be able to drive over and talk to a landlord. They want to be able to knock on a door and see someone local.
And I mean, the best scenario for these neighborhoods is homeownership, right? I mean, ideally, people who are putting down roots and investing personally with their family in the community. And
it's still, homeownership is still one of the principal ways that individuals and families build wealth in America. The age of first-time home buyers has generally increased over the years, and that's been a concern. The fear is that home ownership is becoming increasingly out of reach for Americans, and the concern is that corporate investment into these properties is one reason that's happening.
Why are they doing this? Like, why are these investors interested in these properties?
The homes are cheap. The portfolios can be built up really fast and really easily, and there are renters who want to rent homes in these neighborhoods. So you can, if you're a company, you can buy these homes quickly and in large numbers, and you can rent them out, and you get a return on your investment.
And so you've talked to people who have connections to these communities, people in these communities, as part of your reporting. What are they saying, the people who are concerned about these communities?
Yeah, they don't like the pace at which this is happening, and where they can, they encourage let local investors, local owners to step in and buy properties, to negotiate with out-of-state investors, out-of-state owners, buy properties, bring the ownership local. At least that's the attempt. And politicians are also taking a hard look at this. President Trump has expressed concern about this on social media. We spoke with a Cincinnati area state senator who has drafted a bill that would force some investors to cough up part of their portfolio if the number of their properties reaches a certain threshold.
So, like you said, on the federal level, we have the president raising concerns about these investor-owned purchases. On the state level, there's legislation that's been proposed to try to make it difficult for companies to have huge portfolios of properties. And you found some local efforts underway as well, right?
Sure. The city of Dayton has changed its own laws. The community can now take irresponsible landlords to a civil, administrative, legal process. Previously, the city had to charge these landlords criminally in municipal court. Now there's a civil process where these landlords can be called to court, called to a process for their failure to keep their homes and their properties up to code.
And you also found a shining example, I recall in your reporting, a guy who was buying these properties in an effort to try to create or facilitate homeownership and investing in these communities in that way, right?
Yeah, that's a slow way of getting at the problem. But yeah, Talib Petaway, we talked with Talib Petaway, a Grand Avenue resident who's buying a home. He's working on it. He and his partners are working on it on Yale Avenue, and the hope is they'll be able to sell this home to a local owner. He purchased the home from an out-of-state investor, and the plan is this is a home with good bones, basically a good situation, and the hope is they'll be able to repair the home, prepare it for sale, and get it something of a return on his investment.
And we have video from your interview with him, and we have obviously the entire story online on our website, DaytonDailyNews.com. Tom, Gnau, your business reporter here with Dayton Daily News. What can people look forward to in the near future from your reporting?
We're taking a look at federal contractors, changes in federal contracting in the new Trump administration. There have been some pretty radical changes to federal contracting, probably the most radical shifts in contracting since the mid-'80s. I'm taking a look at that.
And Tom, where can people find your reporting?
DaytonDailyNews.com, and I also have a twice weekly business newsletter published on Tuesday and Friday.
Thank you, Tom, for your great reporting and for talking about it here today. You can follow all of Tom's reporting at DaytonDailyNews.com and on his business newsletter, as he mentioned, and you can follow us both on social media.